Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Hart DFS, and today we have an NFL slate breakdown on DraftKings. First one of the year. Super pumped. Thursday night football, Bills, Rams. I just can't wait. The NFL season is finally back. Can't wait to start pumping out content for you guys. If you're new to the channel, my name's Hart. I make daily NFL slate breakdowns on DraftKings, so I'll be throwing up PrizePick player prop videos as well as weekly looks at the best values for the slates, as well as my core plays. So every Monday, Thursday, Sunday, you can expect videos to go over the players that I like best, the value plays, the ones to fade, the ones, to take a dart throw on. A lot of good content for you guys to enjoy this NFL season. So make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Do appreciate all the support. Can't wait to throw out all this good content for you guys. Make sure to follow me on Twitter as well, HartDFS. I'll be answering any questions there, putting up my prize pick plays, the DFS core plays from the videos, in case you guys missed that. All that good stuff. So follow me on Twitter, throw me a like, throw me a subscribe. Do appreciate all the support. And yeah, let's get into the slate breakdown for today. We have an early look at the NFL Showdown slate this Thursday between the Bills and Rams, as I said. It's supposed to be a very high-scoring game, 52.5 over or under total, team total for both sides. So a very high-scoring game according to Vegas. So really excited to watch this game. Bills are favored by 2.5 as well. So let's get into the slate breakdown. At the top, we have Cooper Kupp, 12.4K, coming off one of the best seasons we've ever seen from a wide receiver. I think he almost won like the Triple Crown, or I think he did. But yeah, I mean, we know what we're getting from Cooper Kupp. I expect a slight regression this year from him, but still expect him to be on top of his game. I don't know if I can get to him at a captain spot for me for this slate. I'm someone who likes to get very risky, especially on these showdown slates. I want to win the million to first all by myself. I don't want to split it 100 different ways or split it with 10 different people. I want to win it solo. And to do that, you have to get very, very, you don't have to get complex, but you can get, very, very contrarian is what I'm looking to say. You want to get very, very contrarian if you want to take down the million to first. You don't have to get, super wild and weird, adding all these different types of, backups, all that stuff. I'll talk about, kind of the route I'm going to lead towards. I've gotten close a few times. Haven't hit it yet. Really liking my shot this week. I think me or one of you guys who are watching are going to win the million to first. And yeah, let's get into it. Sorry, a little bit of a ramble there. But Cooper Kupp, as I said, expecting slight regression, but really love him as, just a solid flex play. I think you can play him even with fading Stafford. I'm going to get into that, but really like Cooper Kupp as a flex play and not a captain for me. I mean, he does possess captain upside. Same thing with Josh Allen, but both of them are just a little too expensive for me to throw in the captain spot. I mean, they're going to be super popular in the captain. I want to fade them in the captain, put them in my flex, put another, high ceiling, maybe lower floor guy in the captain spot and hope he does well. If he does, it sets me up for, great success. So that's kind of the mindset I'm thinking of. Josh Allen has that rushing upside, pretty much average 50 yards or more rushing all of last season. So really, really like him. 12K. Once again, I'm going to fade him in the captain spot. I'm going to put him as a flex, but that's just how I'm going to do it. Stafford, he is my fade of this slate. I might make multiple lineups. We'll have to see. I'll throw him in, maybe one of them. But as of right now, I think I'm going to fade him. He's one of those guys that, he could have a good game, like against Cincinnati, maybe his completion percentage could have been better. But, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, but 21.5, almost 22 fantasy points before the 24. His ceiling's like kind of like 32-ish area, but he doesn't have rushing upside like Josh Allen does. I expect the Bills to air it out even more than the Rams do, even though the Rams like to sling it with Stafford. But as you can see, he's just kind of all over the board at times. The Bills' defense is pretty good, so there is a little bit of concern there. I mean, Stafford obviously is a great QB, he won the Super Bowl, but I think there's enough games where he can get you, 18 to 20, maybe 23 fantasy points, and I think at that level, you can definitely fade him. I think it's very fadeable at that level. If he goes out and gets you like 20 fantasy points, That doesn't mean Cooper Kupp or any of the wide receivers are going to have a bad game. It just sometimes it just leads to him not getting enough touchdowns and doesn't have that rushing upside like Josh Allen. So for me, Stafford right now is a fade. I don't mind him. I think he's a great play. Obviously, if you're going to play Kupp or another wide receiver on the Rams, it kind of makes sense to put Stafford in there as well. But I think right now you can definitely fade him even if you do play one of those wide receivers. Stephon Diggs, one of my favorite captain plays of the week here. 9K, price is down, coming off a little bit of a disappointing season. Really expect him to step it up this year with Josh Allen. Really expect him to be a top 5 wide receiver, maybe even top 3. I'm not scared of Jalen Ramsey's defense this week. I do expect him to probably shadow Diggs. I know Ramsey really doesn't shadow, I don't believe, but even if he does, not really scared. Still expect Diggs to have a great game. Maybe a little bit of ownership will get off him just because people expect Ramsey to follow him, but I don't care. 9K for Diggs is a steal. You can, especially throwing him in the captain spot, having him as I think he's what? Like 5.1K cheaper than Cooper Kupp at the captain. Now that's a little bit insane. I don't see how you see, throwing Allen or Cooper Kupp in the captain when you can throw in Diggs and get both of those guys at the top as well. If you throw in Cooper Kupp and Allen at the captain, you're really, really struggling to find any value to get enough of those star guys in there. So really like Stephon Diggs at a captain for me. My biggest issue with this slate is the running backs. They're all question marks, As of right now, this could change Thursday when we hear more of a game plan from the coaches, but as of right now, Cam Akers and Devin Singletary are the starting backs. But as we know with both of them, at least for Cam Akers, he's coming off of a season where he didn't play until week 18, coming off an injury. Did not look that well. They did give him, running cowbell back, number 1 back attempts, 17, 24, 13, 13. He's a guy who can catch passes as well. But fantasy points, 17 attempts, 2 targets, only 10 fantasy points, 24 rushing attempts, 3 targets, only 7.8. So he wasn't looking great at all last season when they won the Super Bowl. Maybe, this offseason really helped. Who knows? They're both running backs that could come out, fall flat on their feet, and their backups are easily capable of handling the huge, workload that sometimes the coaches put on them. So my number 1 question mark this week is the running backs. I think it's going to decide the slate. Either, one back or both backs are going to be the main guys, the main featured guys. They're not going to look to the backups, or one or both of them are going to mess up, Akers and Singletary, and they're going to have to look to the backups. And if you play one of them and they mess up, then your lineup's screwed. So as of right now, I don't have a hard stance on the running backs. I don't mind them, but I'm going to wait more towards Thursday to kind of see which one I'm going to go towards. We're not 100% sure the situation on the Bills side between Cook and who's the other one? Moss, of who's going to be running back 2. But as of right now, I think it's super risky, but it's also going to be, I think the area that leads you to take down is, picking the right running back. So with that said, Akers, I don't mind him at 8K. I'm just going to wait till Thursday to kind of solidify my decision on this because it's an early look. Gabe Davis, Fantasy Football Twitter loves him. I love him. I think he's going to have a very, very good year. 7.2K, going to be super, super popular on the slate for good reason. He's pretty much wide receiver 1B alongside Stephon Diggs. The Bills camp loves him. Everyone loves him this year. So 2.2K. I think he's going to be a great captain play. I think he's going to be a popular captain play, but for good reason. As you can see, went off in his last game of the season against the Chiefs in the playoffs. Just an absolute beast, another big body. So expecting a great year from him. And if Ramsey, shadows Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis should see plenty of opportunities. So really, really like him at 7.2K. One of my favorite plays on the slate. As I said, with the running back, Singletary started out in split backfield with Moss last year, kind of lost some of the touches to Moss, then he gained it back the second half of the season. Ended up playing pretty decent, 14, 16, 18, 26, 25, 24, 15. So it looks like he's the main guy. We'll have to see, if he does, go out and fumble or drop a few passes, they have no problem pulling him. That's what, the biggest problem with these, running backs is that the coaches can easily decide to go up to the backup, and then you're just screwed by picking one of these running backs, especially these two at the top, because they're pretty expensive. So we're going to wait till Thursday. I don't mind giving it to Singletary, but I definitely think it's worth taking a shot on the backups, depending on what the coaches say. And if one of them fails, then you're set. Tight ends, Dawson Knox, not for me, 6.8K. He's a little too red zone dependent. If you watch the Bills last season, I know there's like one or two games where he was getting catches over the middle, but for the most part, they didn't really look to him till the red zone. Josh Allen really likes his targets to target the tight ends in the red zone. So if you want to take that risk at 6.8K, you can go there. Not really for me. I'd rather get to a guy like Allen Robinson, who I really, really expect to have a huge season for the Rams. If you're sleeping on Allen Robinson, wake up. I mean, you can't look at last year. You can't even really look at anything with him on the Bears, because the Bears are a terrible organization. They didn't utilize him at all. A lot of the games last year, I watched a lot of them. He did not get a target. Or even more, he didn't get a target until the fourth quarter in a lot of those games. A lot of the games, his targets were just overthrows. He was like double covered. He had no chance. So yeah, he really didn't want to play last year. They really didn't look to him at all. The Bears kind of screwed him. Really expect him to step up here as a wide receiver 2 for the Rams. Really like him so much. I really expect him to have a fantastic game, have a fantastic season. He's had a fantastic preseason. So really expecting the best here from Allen Robinson. He's younger than Cooper Kupp. He's bigger than Cooper Kupp. Stafford loved throwing it to Kevin Johnson in the red zone. Allen Robinson's a big wide receiver. Really expect him to get a lot of red zone looks, especially with the teams going to have to double team Kupp in the red zone because of how deadly he is. Going to leave Robinson on an island. Really expect Robinson to get one touchdown this game and have a huge game. So really liked him as my captain spot for this slate. He has that huge upside that you want, and I think he's going to have a very safe floor, so I really like him as a captain. Who else we got here? QBs, backup QBs, don't go there. Tyler Higbee, once again, kind of like Knox, definitely worth a dart throw if you want to go to a tight end, but at 5,600, just not for me. Same thing with Knox, they kind of look to him in the red zone. That's really it. Don't really expect him to do much, especially with the addition of Allen Robinson, who's going to gain a lot more looks and targets than anyone else on the Rams did last year as a second wide receiver. So I think it's easily viable for, Higbee to get less looks than it was last year. So I just don't think the tight ends are in play for me on the slate as of right now. I think the second biggest question mark on the slate is Jamison Crowder. No one's giving him any love. I mean, for good reason. None of the reports out of camp have been good. Isaiah McKenzie. So last year, if you didn't watch the Bills, quick breakdown. They loved playing 4 wide receiver sets. You Diggs on one side, Emmanuel Sanders on the other. Cole Beasley was the slot, and who am I missing? Gabe Davis was the fourth guy who would come in between him and Emmanuel Sanders and Beasley. They kind of switch around depending on 3 or 4 wide receiver sets. Those are the 4 main guys. Isaiah McKenzie would come in for the specialty plays, the quick, fast, little small guy burst plays, end arounds at the 5-yard line. They love doing that with Isaiah McKenzie. Now with Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders gone, it's Stephon Diggs, one side, main guy. Gabe Davis is now the main guy on the other side. So those two. Isaiah McKenzie is now starting. He is, 2,400. Going to be super popular. He had one very good game. He had 11 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown. I think a lot of fantasy football Twitter and DFS Twitter are expecting this kind of game from him, or at least this, kind of close to this production. Obviously not 11 catches, 125 yards, but they do really expect him to take over that Cole Beasley role. I don't believe that as of right now. I think he's going to take more of that specialty role, and he will be a slot. He will see probably 4 to 5 targets a game, but I think he's really in there for just kind of misdirection, especially when they get to the 5-yard line. They love running him on end around. They did it multiple times last year. Really expect him to do it again this year. So he does have red zone upside for a touchdown. But yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be looking to him and don't realize that the Bills love running 4 wide receiver sets. I do think Crowder is going to get a lot of looks. He's just, a veteran guy. I do think that you can really rely on him. I think Josh Allen, if it's not this game, one of the games is going to rely on Crowder, and he's going to get, I think he's going to do pretty solid for the rest of the season. So, excuse me. Oh, it's getting dry. A lot of talking. But back to my point. Really think Crowder is worth a dart throw at 5K. I do think he's going to get some playing time. I do think he can get enough catches to really pay that off. Don't think anyone will be on him just because of all the bad negativity surrounding him when it comes to the news and analysis from all of preseason. So I really think he's my dark horse dart throw play for this game. 5K looks to be in a great spot that no one's going to play him, so I don't mind getting to him at all in the flex. Once again, as I said with the running backs, you can take a shot on the backups. Joe Henderson's a guy who can run it. He can catch it just like Akers. It just depends on if they're going to run a split backfield or if they're going to give Akers the full run. We'll have to wait till Thursday for reports on that. Van Jefferson, I guess this is pretty decently big news. If he's out, I would look to a guy like Tutu Atwell. He's a similar type to Isaiah McKenzie. Very small guy, very quick guy. He didn't play at all last year, ended up getting hurt for the second half of the season. But this preseason, the Rams have loved him. You can see from all the analysis, they decided not to play him because he had such a great preseason. They didn't want to get him hurt. So if Van Jefferson's out, really expect to take a shot on Tutu Atwell, at 1K. I think it's a great play. If Van Jefferson's out, if he's in, I do think you can maybe take a dart throw. If you're going to make multiple lineups, maybe you can throw Tutu Atwell in one. But I think he's only truly viable if Van Jefferson's out. And I want to get to Ben Skoranek. I know they kind of mentioned him. If Van Jefferson's out, just Ben Skoranek's not a good wide receiver. Don't think he gets to go there. Would rather get to Tutu. Back to the defense. Bills, Rams, I don't think it's get to either one. Should be a high-scoring game. Neither one will pay off unless they get a touchdown, defensive touchdown. I don't think that's in the books this weekend. Maybe it is, but as of right now, they're a no for me just because it's too high of a scoring game projected by Vegas to be in a optimal lineup. Kicker, I think one of the kickers is going to have a good game. High-scoring game, so there should be field goals, extra points. Do expect one, if not both of them, to get 10 plus points. So their prices, that's pretty good, pretty decent. I'd side towards Tyler Bass. I think they have just a better offense on the Bills. They're not afraid to sling it around. The defense of the Rams is a little bit better than the Bills. So it's like the Bills' offense is better, but the Rams' defense is better. So maybe the Bills are able to get down to the red zone more, but get stopped more. So that means more attempts for field goals for Bass. So that's kind of my thinking. Really like Bass a good amount on this slate. If you want to get different, otherwise, I'd say kind of stick to the wide receivers and running backs. Rams, as I said, not playing a defense. And then Zach Moss, James Cook. As of right now, it kind of looks like James Cook is running back 2 over there in Buffalo, but we'll keep my eye out on the Thursday news. Maybe Zach Moss sneaks in there. We'll have to see. But if, James Cook's running back 2, I do think it's maybe worth taking a shot on him, depending on what, the Bills coach says about how they're going to attack the running back gameplay. And then Isaiah McKenzie, starting slot receiver. Once again, I don't think he's going to see true slot volume. Maybe that changes, but I do think he's more a specialty guy. Do think Crowder can come in there, have the slot volume. Maybe they revert back to Isaiah McKenzie kind of just being that change of pace guy, a specialty guy. So I do like him, especially at this price. It's very hard to get away from him, but do think you can kind of fade him for Jamison Crowder to get different. And that really does it for me. As I said, Skoranek not going there. Van Jefferson's out. Would rather take a shot on Tutu. So if you guys do enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Gonna have a ton of NFL content out there for you guys this year. So really excited for this season to start. As I said, Allen Robinson is probably my favorite captain player right now. We really like Gabe Davis. I mean, you can throw Josh Allen in there as well, and you're left with 7,100 left over. You can get different, if you wanted to go to Tutu or Isaiah McKenzie, and then throw a running back in there and have one more spot. You can pay up for a pretty decent guy. I think there's a lot of different ways you can attack this slate, which I really like. And the interesting part is the Crowder and the running backs. How you're going to handle that? I think that's what's going to lead you to the $1 million to first. So thank you guys for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.